Hello and welcome back to Literally Heinous. This is the engagement episode, okay? I've been waiting to do this episode for a very long time. Well, not that long. I will tell you everything. Um, so I'm just gonna start with the proposal and then we'll work backwards and then we'll work forwards. So people are like, were you surprised? And the answer is yes, I was surprised. But I was hoping it would be that time frame. So November 22nd, Saturday, November 22nd, Jack and I left for Cabo, Mexico with my dad, my stepmom, my stepsisters, my brother for my dad's 60th birthday. So we stayed in this really nice house. We had a really amazing time. And we planned to stay in Atlanta for the following week because on December 6th, I was performing at a show, a fundraiser in Atlanta on December 6th. So, and we land back in Atlanta the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And then we do Thanksgiving. And back in September, we were like, okay, let's just stay in Atlanta for the week. And I remember Jack proposing the idea. And I was like, oh, wow, you really would want to stay in Atlanta for a whole week and just work from my parents. And he was like, yeah, it makes sense. So we don't have to go back and forth, fly multiple times in a week. And I was like, okay, so I was down for that. Little did I know that that was his plan all along. So we were in Mexico. We come back Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And I told Jack ahead of time, don't propose to me when we're in Mexico because it's my dad's trip and I wanted my mom to be there. And I don't know. And then when we got to Mexico, I immediately regretted that decision. It was so insanely beautiful that I was like, God, I wish he was proposing here because I didn't know when he was going to propose. And I was getting really antsy because I was really hoping it would be in that time frame. I really wanted to be engaged before this show that I was doing in December. And I just wanted to be engaged at Jack's holiday party. And we'd been talking about it since early spring. April was when we were really starting to talk about it. And I'll give more details on that. So I was getting antsy and I got really annoyed because I started to feel forgotten about, and it was no one was really asking about it. And then Jack, we hadn't even talked about the engagement for 2 months, and I was like, did he forget about it? And I was just like, what is going on? So then I started to get a little bit annoyed, and then I really wanted to be engaged for the show that I was doing because a few of the jokes that I wrote, I was like, this would be so much funnier if I was engaged or if I could say my fiance, whatever. And also I was excited about the ring that I was getting because I knew pretty much what I was getting, and I was just waiting for it because every outfit I put on, I was like, this would look so much better with my yellow diamond, whatever. So we get to Atlanta Thanksgiving, we do it with my mom, and then we do Thanksgiving with my dad's side, #divorce life. And then my mom and stepdad go up to Blue Ridge, Georgia. That's where they live part-time. So they were going out of town from December. They left on Thanksgiving night and we're coming back Tuesday. And I was kind of where the fuck is she going? I was like, why? I'm only in town for a week. Why is she going to Blue Ridge for half of the week? But whatever. So we were staying at her place, and she lives in a townhouse in Sandy Springs. So we were staying at her place, which was really nice because we got to sleep in her room, her king bed and everything. So that was nice. And we just made ourselves right at home. We just moved everything. We were using every single room in the house for so many different things. And then Friday, we went out for drinks, just the two of us in Sandy Springs, which is not a very fun place to get drinks in Atlanta, respectfully. And then Saturday was a very chill day. So this is Saturday after Thanksgiving. Jack and I went to brunch at Flying Biscuit. Shout out, an amazing brunch place. And then back when we were in Mexico, the week before, a few days before, my dad was like, oh, you should come over and watch the Ohio State game with us. And I was like, okay, because Ohio State plays Michigan every Saturday after Thanksgiving. So I didn't even think anything of it. I probably would have suggested it anyway. So then when we go to my dad's to watch the game, we're just chilling on the couch. It was me, Jack, my dad, my stepmom, my stepsisters, and everyone's just kind of doing their own thing, watching the games on phones, on laptops, just I don't know. It's just a very normal day. I was just wearing jeans. And then my dad lives near Whitewater Creek, so Whitewater Nature Preserve on the Chattahoochee River. So there's a little nature reserve area near my dad's house that we always walk to because he lives in a super hilly neighborhood. So it's a pretty solid walk. So when we were in the car, or I think it was the day before, Jack just threw it out there. Oh, and we're at your dad's, we should walk. And I was like, yeah, obviously we always do that. So, and I didn't think anything of that either because we always go on a walk at my dad's. But he was trying to kind of plant little ideas in my brain. So I'm waiting for the Ohio State game to end because like it was a blowout. Like we won, obviously. And so I was like, okay, can we go on a walk now? Can we go on a walk? And he's like, let's wait till the game's over. Like we got to watch them storm the field. I'm like, okay. Finally, the game's over, and then we start walking to Whitewater Creek. And we're just like talking, like it was really normal. And then we get to the nature preserve. Jack's like, which way do you want to go, right or left? And I was like, I don't know, right, I guess. And then we pass a sign talking about the Cherokee Indians, Native Americans that lived at the Chattahoochee River. And we read it, and I spent the entire walk talking about Native Americans, which then led me to slavery. And I just was talking about like what happened. I was like, it's so terrible what happened. I was like, I wish I were a Native American. Like I would have totally lived here. I was just like yapping. And I was like, it would have been so cool. Like if I was a Native American, like this would be the perfect place to live, like right by the river. Like it'd be awesome. The weather's good. And then that got me onto slavery and being like, because I was thinking about like my fourth grade teacher, Miss Carter, and how like when that was the year that we learned about slavery and like the Civil War and everything. Obviously, like growing up in Atlanta, that was like a big part of our curriculum. And I just remember Miss Carter, and I was like telling Jack about Miss Carter. I was like, yeah, like she would always tell us like there's so much more that you guys will learn when you're older, like alluding to obviously like, because when you first learn about slavery when you're a kid, they don't tell you like all the really fucked up shit that happened. So that's what I was talking about. Jack was like, yeah, like that's interesting. And I was like, yeah, like if I was an elementary school teacher, I wouldn't sugarcoat anything. I would tell the kids exactly what happened because they need to know. Jack's like, okay, maybe we should stop talking about slavery now. And I was like, okay. And then he just stopped walking. I was like, what are you doing? Then he started saying all these really nice things. And I was like, thank you so much. I'm a little like uncomfortable with like, I don't know. I'm not like a like outward affection. Sometimes I'm like, what are you doing? And Jack and I aren't super like lovey-dovey all the time. Like we're just kind of, we'll have our moments. And then I was like, oh my God, is he about to propose? Honestly, I was mad. I was like, what are you doing? What now? Like at the Chattahoochee River, like here, like, but my mom's out of town. And then he was like, I need to ask you something. I was like, what? He was like, there's something in my pocket. And I was like, oh my God, fuck, is it a gun? Like, I don't know what it is. And then I was like, oh my God, are you proposing? And then he got down on one knee, but I was like shocked. And I was so shocked that it was not this like, oh my God, I did not cry. Like, I was like, what? Because the reason I was so thrown off because like it was so, I just kept saying like the day was so normal, just like hanging out with my dad. And then like when we were going to the river, when he was like right or left, because I was like, it seems like he didn't really put a lot of thought into this. Like that is what I thought. It just felt like really random to me. I was like, I bet like 20 things went wrong for you to be proposing here. And I don't know why, because he just kind of stopped walking and asked, and he picked, like we stopped and we were looking at the river and stuff. So it was pretty, like it's a pretty area. But I was like, if he's proposing, like, then why didn't he care? Like, surely he would have like had a stronger opinion on whether we went right or left. I was really hung up on the right or left thing. And then I was like, but why would he propose if my mom's out of town? She's not coming back till Tuesday. And then I was like, wait, what if she is coming back? But if she is coming back, then we really messed up the house, because we were like moving everything. Like I was going through all her stuff, like wearing her clothes, taking out her beauty products. We moved the TV all around the house. And I was like, oh my God, if mom's back, she's gonna see like how much we messed stuff up in the house, like we didn't make the bed. So that's where my mind was going, and it just felt really like haphazard. Then I was like, do people know that you're doing this? And he was like, yes. And I was like, are you sure? And he was like, yes, this has been a plan for multiple months. And I'm like, this was the plan, like this was your big idea? Oh my God, I feel even guilty saying that, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. Because I don't know, like and then I was like looking around, I was like, what is anyone here? And he's like, no, like I didn't hire a hidden photographer. And I was like, good, because I think I told him that, or I think I told my best friend Zoe that, like, I don't really like the hidden photographer because I'm not good at being surprised. I don't like to be surprised. I'm not like, oh my God, like correct. Like if a photographer would have captured the moment, it would have been me being like, what? Like, yes, I don't know. So then I just had to I asked him like a million questions, and I just was like, do people know? And he was like, yes, people know. And then I was like, is stuff happening? Like, do people care? And he was like, yes, there's a plan in place. Like, there's stuff in the works. Just relax. Let's just enjoy this moment. People know. Stop asking questions. It's going to be okay. And then I got excited. And then I looked at my ring, and it was just as beautiful as I knew it would be. And then we were kind of like taking pictures, taking a few selfies. And then I was like, oh my God, like we're engaged, because I just could not believe it. Like, so the act, yes, I was surprised, and I was hoping it was that time frame, but it just never occurred to me. I think my mom going out of town, like going up to Blue Ridge, that threw me off the most, because I was like, okay, well, he's not going to do it when she's not here. And I don't know. It was just really surprising. So then we walked back to my dad's. The walk back was brutal. It is a hardcore walk because there's a bunch of hills where my dad lives. So we were like panting going up the hills because we were both just like nervous. And Jack was like, oh my God, I was so nervous the whole time. And I was like, really? Because he seemed so normal. And then Jack was like, yeah, I was like shaking the entire walk. And I was like, I could not tell. And I guess a lot of times, like, I put my hands in his pockets if it's cold or just like because it's fun. And at one point when we were walking, I like started to put my hand in his pocket, and he like smacked my hand away. And I was like, and then it made sense. Even that. And he was like, oh, I thought you knew the entire walk that I was going to propose. And I was like, if I thought you were going to propose, I wouldn't spend the whole time talking about Django Unchained and the Cherokee Indians. Like, I would have been a little more like, oh, what beautiful weather we're having. Yeah, so I didn't know. So he had a whole narrative in his mind. He was so nervous, but didn't seem it. So he just told me that. So then we walked back to my dad's. We're like panting. And then I was like, I really hope my mom came back. And he was like, yeah. And then, okay, so I have a thing where obviously no one likes to be disappointed, but I don't like to create narratives where I can like potentially disappoint myself. So if a thought comes into my mind, like, ooh, what if there's this? But I don't want to verbalize it, because if it doesn't come true, I will be really sad. So I did say, I was like, I hope my mom is back, because I was like, she's got to. And then I did see my stepdad's car, or a car that looked like it, but I didn't point it out to Jack because he saw it. He didn't think that I saw it because I didn't say anything, because I was scared that if I was like, oh my God, that's Michael's car, then I would be disappointed if she wasn't there. So I saw the car and I was like, okay, I think she's there. And then we get back to my dad's house, and my mom, my dad, my stepmom, my stepsisters, they're all like cheering when we walk in, and then there's champagne. And it felt like really, it was weird. Like, it was weird. I mean, it was amazing, but it just, like, I don't like to be surprised, because it like alters my reality. And like, it takes me a really long time to like, I don't know, because I was just like getting used I was like, okay, I just thought we were going on a walk, and now all of a sudden I'm engaged, and then these people are back, and then what's happening the rest of the night? I was like, how are we going to tell people? Like, I just hadn't thought that it would happen today. And they wanted to surprise me, and they fucking surprised me. Like, they really got me. So then we sit on the couch, we're all talking for like 45 minutes and like telling them what happened. And my mom's like, did you cry? And I was like, no. And I wish that I did, but I just didn't really. I was too surprised, and it just, because I was like mentally processing what was happening in real time. And then I was also like thinking about like the implications, not implications in a bad way, but like I was thinking about, well, this changes everything the next week. Like, we were just, like certain plans that I made, like I was going to hang out with a friend that night, and I was like, well, I need to text them that I can't hang out. And like, do all of these people know? Do our New York friend, like, I was like, well, now what are we, like, I don't know. So I wasn't like super emotional, but I was really excited. And then Jack's like, oh, we should call my mom. And I was like, okay. So we call his mom, and she's like, oh, cool. I was like, what? She did not sound excited. And I was like, that's weird. And then we call his dad, because his parents are also divorced and remarried. Then we call his dad, and his dad is even more like, nice, awesome. But luckily his stepmom was like, oh, that's amazing. You guys must be so excited. And I was like, thank you, Jill. Like, at least someone cares. And then my mom and Michael, my stepdad, lots of steps, okay? Both of my parents and Jack's parents divorced, remarried. We have 8 parents between us, essentially. So my mom and stepdad, they're like, oh, we're going to go babysit the boys. Like my oldest stepsister's 5-year-old boys. And they're like, you guys have the house to yourself tonight. You guys are going to get dinner. We're going to go babysit the boys. I was like, okay, like, why are they going to like babysit the night we get engaged? I was like, I thought there'd be a party or something. Then my dad was like, oh, we're going to go do this. So yeah, you guys need to get back and go change for dinner. And then I was trying to like, in my head, I was like, why am I slightly disappointed about the idea of just us two getting dinner? And I was a little bit like, where's everyone going? And then I was beating myself up because I was like, why am I disappointed? Like, I should be really happy. I just got engaged. We're going to get dinner and like, it's going to be really nice. Like, I should be happy. And I was happy. And then in the car on the way to back to my mom's to go change, then I called Zoe. I like took some pictures of my ring, and then I was able to kind of like hype myself back up. I was never sad at any point during the day. Let that be known. But I was just like, what's going on? Like, where's everyone going? Like, whatever. So then we go to my mom's, we change. I call like 2 more friends and like send it, like I was trying to keep it like internals only, like just the need to know. And then I wore a dress that I bought for my show the next week because I have to have a new outfit every time I do anything, and it's a disease. So Jack was like, oh, you should wear your new dress. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, well, now I'm going to have to buy a new dress for my show. Like, I can't repeat this. And like, it looked really cute. I was so happy that I had a new outfit to wear. So then we get in the Uber and we're going to dinner, and I'm thinking like, I hope that Jack at least like put in the open table notes that he proposed. Like, I hope at least the server is excited for us since everyone is busy. And then when we pulled into the restaurant, a thought flashed into my brain. I was like, oh my God, what if there's a surprise party? Nope, Lily, do not. And then so I had to like push that thought away. I was like, don't even think about it because, you know, if it doesn't like, I don't want to disappoint myself. So I was just trying to like save my own like heart, I guess. And then we get into the restaurant, and then Jack was going up to the host stand, and I was like, okay, just in case there's a surprise party, I gave him like, I literally stood back like 5 feet because I was like, okay, maybe in the off chance that there is a surprise party, like I don't want Jack to worry about me hearing like for the party. But then I swore that I heard him say like Jack for 2. And I was like, damn it. And then the host walks us to our table. But then there was a whole surprise party there with his parents that came in, and his brother and my family and 2 of my best friends and my 5-year-old nephews, my stepsisters. And it was shocking. The pictures of me like that, I was floored seeing, because Jack's parents, Jack's mom, her long-term partner, dad, stepmom, and Jack's brother, who's in a wheelchair and travels like once a year, twice a year, seeing them because they were at the front of the party. So they were the first people I saw. And I was just like, there's a picture of me, like I basically like collapsed onto the ground, and I just started randomly pointing at people as everyone was like registering. And that was shocking. Like, I cannot like communicate that enough, how surprised I was. And like, it just fell into place. I'm like, that's why his parents were so weird on the phone. And because I spent the day like, or the last few hours thinking that Jack's parents didn't care, they weren't really excited, and that I knew my parents cared, but I don't know. And like, it was just, I was so relieved. Like, I was surprised and relieved. I was relieved that like, not only did people care, people were really excited. And Jack's family flew in and drove in from Michigan, and they flew Kyle in and got him on a plane, and they got hotels. And I'm like, oh my God. And then the restaurant, it was at Eclipse de Luna in Dunwoody. And we had the cutest little back section of a back patio, and there was buffet style, which I fucking love a buffet. I hate plated dinners for parties. This is something I am so passionate about. I hate being at a table with, honestly, like, I draw the line at like 8 people. I do not like, and especially if it's like a party or celebration, I don't like big seated dinners. I do not like, because the thing is, I'm like, what's the point of bringing all these people together when you're really only talking to like 4 people? Because you have these big dinners. It takes 2 hours, 2.5 hours to get everyone seated, and you have to figure out what you want. And then you're only talking to like the 3 or 4 people around you. And it's always the people that you know the most. So I'm like, you're not really mingling with anyone new. So I was so happy that like my mom knew this about me, and Jack too, of course. So we had like a little buffet station, and we had pictures of like margarita, sangria, there was wine, beer, champagne. Like, the staff was amazing. Shout out Eclipse de Luna staff, like Victor specifically, he was amazing. And my mom did the cutest decorations. Mackenzie Childs is this designer that we love. If you can see the black and white checker pots behind me. She had Mackenzie Child's cocktail napkins. She had little fake diamond rings, and she had these big gemstones, like those chunky gems and jewels. For my birthday party, I like a month ago, the cake that I got, or the cake that I had made, was this really cute, kind of like vintagey style, like coquette with the like ribbons and stuff. It was purple, but it had big gemstones all over it. It was so fucking cute. And my mom remembered that, and that I loved like chunky gemstones, so she had that. And then there were pictures of us, and we had like our own little cups and desserts, and there's like a whole donut tray and everything. And the best part, is that Jack hired a photographer off of Thumbtack. And it was so thoughtful because Tasia, I will link her in the description somewhere. Tasia was amazing. The photographer was so great. It meant so much to me that Jack got a photographer for that, because then we were able to take like engagement pictures that night. So Tasia took pictures of everyone before I got there. So everyone got like family photos, or whoever wanted like couple pictures. And then she took like the surprise pictures of me. So I'm really glad that I have my reaction. And then once like the surprise kind of like settled, and then I got like used, I mingled with everyone for a bit, like told the story. And then once the party kind of got flowing, then people started eating, and then Tasia grabbed us. So once we were there for like 20 minutes and mingled, and people kind of like started to eat a little bit, then Tasia grabbed us and was like, now would be a good time to take pictures, just the two of you, which I really appreciated, because I was like, I wanted to get like a good picture that night so that we could remember it. And then I was really glad that she like pulled us aside and took us outside of the restaurant there near these trees that were all lit up. So we spent like a good 10 minutes taking pictures, just the two of us. And then, yeah, we went back to the party. I tried to eat, but like I really could not eat because I was just too excited. And it was so much fun. And just, yeah, like talking to Jack's parents, I just could not believe that they came down. I was so happy. And I was just so relieved, because I literally spent the last few hours thinking that they weren't excited, or I don't know. And then the party kind of started to wind down, and then me and Jack and Will and Zoe went to Johnny's Hideaway to meet up with some of our other friends. Which Johnny's Hideaway is a very famous dancing club in Atlanta. It's like all oldies. It's been around since like the 70s or 80s or maybe even 90s. I don't know. And we had so much fun, and just, yeah. And then I wanted to I also couldn't even like think about how I wanted to like post on Instagram, because I don't know, I wanted to do like a grid post and just like post on main, but I didn't have like a good picture to post really. And then Zoe put it on her story already, and then people started texting me seeing it on Zoe's story, and I was like, fuck, okay, cat's out of the bag. So then I just posted on my story quickly, and my DMs like blew up. It was actually crazy. I've never received so many messages in my life. I don't even know how many I got, because Instagram stops, or at least for me, showing you the number of DMs you get after 20. But I was scrolling. It took me, I was able to get back to everyone, or at least like or say thank you to every message. But that took me like 4 days, because I'd have to do it in chunks. And then I tried to like text in the Uber on the way to Johnny's Hideaway. I tried to text as many people as I could that I knew they would be mad if they saw it on my story and didn't hear it from me. So I was like texting a couple cousins, texting my aunts. I was like, like a few friend group chats, whatever, and trying to just like, sorry, like it was all so crazy. I didn't do that whole like FaceTime thing. I did FaceTime Zoe, Dana, and Vivi, like three of my best friends. But I always think it's a little, sorry if this is mean or going to offend anyone, but I think it's kind of tacky, like the whole like FaceTiming the group chat and everyone's boxes are like, oh my God, like best FaceTime ever. Because I don't know. I don't want that to be for me. Like my friends, we don't really do that. So yeah, that was the engagement story. It was truly and genuinely insane. It was the craziest day of my life, roller coaster of emotions. And then the next day, Jack's mom and her partner and Kyle, his brother, were still in town. They were in town till Monday. So like the day after getting engaged, we went to like World of Coke, which I know I love Atlanta, but the like touristy things in there's some really good stuff in Atlanta, but like when you Google things to do in Atlanta, it's like World of Coke, an aquarium. And so I couldn't think straight. Like I couldn't, they were like, where should we go? Like, what should we do in Atlanta? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I can't even think. So we just went to World of Coke, and I don't recommend it. I haven't been to World of Coke since I was in like elementary school. I don't know. It's just a big advertisement. So, But we did that. And then later that night, they came over to my mom's house for leftovers from the party. And that was one of my favorite parts of the weekend was my family, my dad came, and then Jack's family, just all hanging out at my mom's in a very intimate, just like hanging out. We were like telling stories and inside jokes and really just bonding and talking about the wedding because they've all met before. Like my parents have met his parents over the years. Jack and I have been together for like 7.5 years. I know it's crazy. So they've met in passing, but it was really nice to just be able to talk and like tell stories and just talk about what we want to do for the wedding. And then the other thing was my mom was like, and another surprise, I booked us 5 venue tours this week. And I was like, oh my God. So that's the proposal story. Okay, so now for the main event, I'm talking about my ring. So my ring is a yellow diamond. That is the center stone. It's a yellow diamond. It's not like any sort of special gemstone. And it is diamond. That is yellow. And then on both sides of it, it's 2 white diamonds. So like regular diamonds and half moons. And then this yellow diamond is oval. Okay. My ring is a lab grown diamond. So basically, here's what's going on in the diamond world right now. So natural diamonds, which are diamonds that are like mined in Africa and other parts of the world, that's like what has been the thing for like the entirety of like modern marriages of using diamonds. So those are called natural diamonds and they're mined. Historically, there's been like unethically, like it's really dangerous. They're also called blood diamond, but that's not to say that all natural diamonds are blood diamonds. In the last like 5-ish years, the lab diamond industry has really blown up. And what a lab diamond is it's a diamond that is grown inside of a lab, like with a chemical composition. So like how we have food that's grown in labs and like other things that occur naturally grown chemically in labs. That is what a lab diamond is. It's the exact same composition. It's the exact same thing as a diamond, but the way that it is grown is in a lab through chemistry. And that is the extent of my knowledge. So feel free to Google that. So there's been a little like back and forth in like the diamond industry and just like people that are engaged. Like there's a lot of discourse online about getting lab versus natural. Some people say that like a lab diamond, it's not the real thing because the price difference, this is a huge thing. The price difference between lab and natural diamonds is insane. Okay. Like I don't know like the exact comparison, but for something like this, but if you were to get like a 3-carat natural diamond ring, I mean, that could cost you like $40,000-$50,000. Like it's a fuck ton of money. Lab diamond for that amount would be maybe like $3,000 to $5,000. It is astronomical, the difference. So obviously lab diamonds have blown up in popularity. And that is why you see young girls with these really big engagement rings, such as mine. Yes, I know my engagement ring is big, and that is because it is a lab. If this ring were natural diamond, like, I mean, because with the money, like I didn't want Jack to spend a lot of money on my ring. Like I would never want to put him in a position, like why would I want that? Like I don't want that. He doesn't want that. At the same time, I love statement jewelry and I knew that I wanted something unique. I wanted something like fun and flashy and big and like natural, like lab diamond was perfect. Like if we were to get like a natural diamond, it'd probably be like Belly's ring from The Summer I Turned Pretty and like super tiny. And that's cool too, but that's just not me. Or it'd have to be like moissanite or some other like gemstone. And I didn't want that. So there's a lot of debate in the industry. Some people are like staunchly against natural diamonds because they're like, how could you do that? How could you give money to this like terrible industry? Like lab is ethical. But lab diamonds aren't even necessarily 100% more ethical than natural diamonds. Like there are companies that mine diamonds ethically. So it's not like all of them are bad. But then there's also like true jewelry people that are like, they look down on lab diamonds because like, or they look down on any younger girl that has a big diamond because it's like, oh, that's obviously lab. Like you would never afford that. So like there's definitely an elitism angle. Another reason for getting natural is that they're heirlooms. So like if you were to sell your ring or if you wanted to pass it down, like it's worth a lot of money. Lab diamonds, they're not really worth that much. I mean, you can get some money back, but because they were pretty it's inexpensive to buy, you're not gonna really see that return. So I definitely understand the argument of people wanting to like own a family heirloom. I personally don't care about that because I think the world's gonna end because of like climate change. So you might as well like get whatever you want. So when I first learned when Jack and I were first like really seriously, well, when I was like, okay, I'm ready to get engaged. And then like before I like Jack and I like really talked about it, that was when I was introduced to this lab versus natural debate. And it wasn't really like a thought for me to get natural. I was like, okay, I mean, if lab is ethical and the price difference is crazy, like I'm just going to do that. So when Jack and I first started talking about like getting engaged, because obviously we've talked about like getting married for a while, like we always knew that we would. But then earlier this year was when I was like ready. I was like, okay, I think I want to get engaged this year. Like, I think I'm ready. Like, we had our feet planted in New York for a while. We'd been living together for a year. We've been together for like 7.5 years, which is a really long time. And then I started to kind of like, I mean, for me, I think like really hard about every decision that I make and every move and every change. Like, I am always like living with it in my head for like months and months at a time before I verbalize it to other people. So then I asked him about it and I was like nervous. I don't even remember, but every night we'd go to bed and I'd be like, okay, I should ask him now if like he wants to like start looking at rings and stuff. But then I would get scared. And then I don't remember even when I said it, but I did. And then he was like, yeah, we should. And another thing is I knew that I wanted to go look at rings together. The first time I heard of people ring shopping, like couples looking at rings together, I was like, oh, how gauche, like, don't you want it to be surprised? Like, don't you want to pick it out? But then once I actually was putting pencil to paper and like really thinking about the reality of me getting a ring, I was like, I absolutely want to know what I'm getting. And that was something we were both like on board with. I think Jack liked the element of surprise, but I am just very particular about what I wear and how I dress. And I love to express myself through clothes and jewelry and my hair, that I knew, I was like, I need to know what I'm going to get generally. And because there's so many options and I knew that I wanted something unique, but I didn't trust him to like go unique, like maybe, and I didn't really know exactly what I wanted in the beginning, but I knew that I wanted something with color and I wanted something that I hadn't really seen before, which was hard to like think about what that is. And I think if I wanted something more classic, like a solitaire, like single diamond, like certain shape, then I would have trusted him to go do that. And also I thought it'd be fun. I'm like, okay, so we live in New York City. I was like, yes, let's go look at jewelry stores and go try on rings. Like, that's a fun little activity. And then the conversation kind of like, we hadn't really talked about it. And then like 2 months went by and I was like, okay, like, should we go look at rings? And then he brought it up again over dinner. And I was like, thank God, because he was like acting super nervous. So like, there's been a lot of like, I don't know, the stakes have just felt really high, maybe because we've been together for so long. I don't know. And also because, yeah, we have been together. We do everything together, that like getting married or talking about engagement was like the one thing that was something that we didn't normally talk about because we just kind of live our lives. And then, so we were going to Atlanta in May, earlier this year in May, for some family things. And I had to go to my cousin's bridal shower. And my dad was like, oh, maybe Jack and I will get lunch while you're at your bridal shower. And I was like, okay, perfect. And then in my head, I was thinking like that would be a perfect time for Jack to talk to my dad. But I didn't want to like force, like I wanted it to be his idea. And so I kind of like told Jack, I was like, oh, when I go to Stephanie's bridal shower, you and my dad are going to get lunch and then we're going to drive to this thing together. And then later Jack was like, maybe like when your dad and I get lunch, I could ask him. And I thought that was so sweet. And I was like, what an amazing idea. That's so sweet. I love that idea. So yeah, then that happened. And after they picked me up, I was like, did you talk to him? He was like, yeah. And then my dad was so excited. Me, Jack, and my dad had to drive down to Columbus, Georgia for something. And it's like a 2-hour drive. My dad was literally calling everyone in the family, asking us a million questions. He was like coming up with the guest list and he was like, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. Like, I think we should do it like in this time. Like, what do you guys think? So it was so much fun. And it was just such a like, it was so happy. And then like we called his parents, which was kind of, and I'm like, maybe this was a little dramatic of us, but I don't know. This kind of goes back to like the way that I'm like really thoughtful about everything. Like I don't really make impulsive decisions like that. And I think that the fact of like even Jack asking my dad for his blessing, which I know is a little bit patriarchal and old school, but I kind of like it. I think it's kind of nice when like, it's not like, I'm not like a cow, he's like, can I take Lily's hand? Like, it's just the right thing to do. I feel like at least in like heterosexual relationships to talk to the dad or talk to whoever, or just like to let the parents know that like this is what we want to do, because it just lets them in on like being excited and everything. So we called his parents, and his parents were really happy for us too. And then when we got back to the city in June, like June 19th, we actually went on his birthday. We went to 3 jewelers. I think we went to 2 in one day and then 1 the next day. And I made all the jewelry appointments because I just did a lot of research online. Oh my God. I mean, it is overwhelming how much there is that goes into rings. Like, it's not just like diamond shape and whatever. Like, there's so many options, and you can really get like bogged down in how much there is. And then like, it's all about like the color and like the cut of things and the shape and the size, and like, oh my God, there's so much that goes into it. So definitely like do a lot of research. That's what I would recommend. And just like, yeah, I was living on Pinterest. Like, I was just like Pinteresting up a storm. Like, every night before bed, I would look at some rings and save them. And then I stumbled upon a picture of a yellow diamond, and I was like, whoa, like, who is she? I had never heard of a yellow diamond before. I'd never like seen one. I didn't even know that they existed. I just saw this picture of one and texted my friend that works in jewelry, and I was like, who is she? Like, what's going on here? And she was like, oh, it's a yellow diamond. Like, they're stunning. It was really big in the 80s. And I was like, is that weird? She was like, no, it's not weird at all. It's unique. Not a lot of people do it, but it has like a random, like a small, like cult following. And so I just kind of, put it away for now. And then we went to the ring stores, and one of the stores we went to, we literally fell in love with them. The name of the store was Marissa Perry, and our sales lady was named Nazreen, and she was incredible. I was obsessed with her. And then while we were at the appointment, she was like, oh, we're natural only. And I was like, what? I was like, how did I miss that online? Because I'm like the queen of research. So that was really disappointing, because like I at that point knew, I was like 3 carats and up, because I just like a bigger ring, whatever. And I was like, yeah, 3-4 carat natural diamond, like never gonna happen. Like that, I would wipe out, like, I'm like, I don't want to put it, no way. It was never even an option. So that was sad. And then we went to another jeweler called Soho Gem, and that was really fun. So when we were at that one, they had a little more colors there. The first one was very traditional, like diamond store, or like a smaller boutique one. And then we went to this other place, Soho Gem, and they had a bunch of colors there. And I was like, is there any chance you have a yellow diamond? And she was like, yes. She pulled out like 3 yellow diamonds, and then she pulled out the one that became like the blueprint. And it was just, this one was in a rectangular, so it was like emerald cut yellow diamond with like 2 smaller white diamonds on either side. And I like burst through the ceiling. I was like, this is it, 100%, because it just looked like a party in a ring. Like, I was looking into the stone, and it was just so glittery. And I was like, it's yellow diamond. Like, it's gotta be. For a while, I was thinking, I was nervous to get like a colored stone in the center, because I wanted my ring to look like an engagement ring. Like, at the end of the day, I know that I wanted color. I know I wanted something unique, but I still wanted it to be like, oh, that's an engagement ring. So for a while, I was thinking like white diamond in the middle, smaller sapphires on either side, or like different color, something, or 2 colored gemstones on either side, something like that. And I tried on a few like that, and then just nothing spoke to me like the yellow, and I just loved it. And from there, like, that was like, it was it from there. I think we went to like one other store after we got torrentially poured on. Like, when we were walking there, like the kind of rain, we had to seek refuge in this floral shop, and we were soaked. Like, my hair was completely wet. It was crazy. So then we go to this other jewelry store. I don't even remember anything about them. Those weren't as fun. So some of the jewelry stores, like, they will just, it takes so damn long. Sometimes you get to try on a bunch of different rings, and that's the most fun kind. And then other ones, they'll just have like stones for you, so you just look at like the shape, and they have this little, like, it's like a ring, but it has like tongs on the top, like little tongs, so you can like put the shape on it just to see how a shape looks on your finger. And that one's not as fun, because it's like, I want to try on a real ring. So then once we were set on yellow diamond, I wasn't really in love with any of the stores or the salespeople necessarily. So I was like, let me look at, now that we know what we're looking for, which is yellow diamond, 3 to 4 carats, lab, like oval. I was pretty certain that I wanted oval. I think we were also looking at like elongated cushion. Then I was like, let me look at like 1 or 2 more places that are like good with color, because now I was like, I need a place that like specializes in color, which is not true. I didn't know what I was talking about at the time, so don't listen to me. Then I stumbled upon Lauren B Jewelry, which is a big jewelry store in the Diamond District. Like they're a pretty big company. So I was able to go back and forth in emailing, and just at this point I was specific. And I was, because I don't know, I was also like with Jack, and Jack was like, should I be emailing? And I was kind of like, you know what, I got it for now. Like, just let me do the appointments. Like, because I don't know, Jack was great though. Like, we were both taking a lot of notes. Like, he was writing everything down. I was also writing everything down. But I have control problems. And this is kind of something that I've realized about myself since my engagement, is that I am a control freak. So more on that later. But yeah, so I was emailing with this guy named Fabrizio. So Fabrizio, we met with him, and he sourced a flight of diamonds. So these diamond stores, at least in New York, they don't own the diamonds. Like, a lot of them, like, they make the diamonds, they have the salespeople, they have design team, and then they have the actual manufacturers, but they source their diamonds from like the streets. Literally, uncut gems was correct. And so what they do is, when they have a client like us who is looking for something specific, they will go to their, like, the market, the diamond market, and source them. And then they have runners, like they have messengers, they have people that are paid to go around the city and go pick up these diamonds. And it's kind of dangerous, but they're like insured. They have, like, I was asking Fabrizio about it, and they have like policy that if someone gets, like, if one of their runners gets like held up at gunpoint or whatever, they just always like give the robbers the diamonds. So if anyone's looking to get into crime, that's an easy way. But you didn't hear from me. So Fabrizio sourced us 4 diamonds, a flight of diamonds. And this Fabrizio guy was interesting. He was this like really gruff Italian guy. He was honestly terrifying, but I just really liked how blunt he was, because all of the people we were meeting with were these like whimsical, like, oh, it looks so beautiful on you. And Fabrizio was like, nah, you ain't gonna like that. No, it doesn't look good. And I kind of was just vibing with him. And I liked that it was Diamond District. I liked that he had like worked there for 20 years, and he was just like hardcore. So we sourced a flight from them, and then we got this other jeweler named Frank Darling, that's another jewelry store. Frank Darling, they're a little more like Instagram-y. I guess Lauren B is too, but they're a little more boutique-y, kind of girly. And we met with some sales chick there, and she also sourced 4 different diamonds for us. So we were looking between the 2 of these places at 8 diamonds. And we liked this one diamond at Frank Darling the best. But we didn't like Frank Darling. We didn't like the sales lady, because I don't know, I just didn't like her vibe. After the paperwork, gave it back to Fabrizio, and then Fabrizio was able to like source that diamond. Like, once Frank Darling released it back out on the market, Fabrizio sourced that diamond and like scooped it back up and brought it for us. And there's something else that happened. There is more to this story, but I can't remember what. So I'll have to ask Jack. But anyways, from there, once we were like, I liked that diamond because I liked the shape of it. I liked the color. Like, the hard thing about yellow is that not all yellows are the same. Like, some are canary, some's like a green yellow, blue yellow. So that was a little nerve-wracking, because I was like, oh, I don't know what to pick. Because it's easy to just like look at a ring and be like, oh, that's yellow and that's also yellow. But when you are looking at a bunch of different diamonds side by side by side, you are picking them apart. They all look so different suddenly. Then another thing that I will warn you about is size blindness. I had read about this on some Reddit pages that, like, when you're going to look at rings and you're looking at a bunch in a day, you start like getting blind to like the size of them, and you'll all of a sudden be like, 4 carat looks so small, can I look at like 6? I even heard of someone going up to like 10 carat at one point, being like, okay, this is ridiculous. So yes, like the diamonds like started to look smaller and smaller the more that I was looking at them. And I do, in retrospect, think that I could have gone a little smaller with my stone. But like the price difference really isn't that different between like half a carat. So you know what? It's fine. I still love my diamond. So then from there, Jack and Fabrizio handled everything. And I was like off communications. By this point, it was like mid-July or end of July. And Jack has like, then it was done. So I know Jack said he had to go back a couple times. Like, he went back to pick out the side stones. He went back for a few more things. And then we just kind of stopped talking about it. I was like, okay, like, it's in his hands now. It's fine. And then I started to get a little antsy about being proposed to in like October, because I was like, okay, we went shopping in July. What's going on? Like, whatever. And then November rolls around, and I was still like suspect. So then I started to get a Lindsay, and then he proposed obviously right around Thanksgiving, and it was incredible. And I love my ring. I'm so happy with it. And there were so many other things that like Jack got to pick out with the ring and got to design. So if you're still wanting like surprise elements about your ring, like there is so much that goes into a ring. It's not just like the stones, and like there's so much about like the settings of it and the shapes and like the shanks and all of that, and like platinum versus white, yellow, and or white. I don't fucking know, guys. It was a lot, but it was so much fun. Okay, so now on to wedding planning. So one of the reasons why I wanted to get engaged, or we weren't 100% ready, is because I knew that the minute we got engaged, like planning would begin day zero. And my mom and I've like talked about this a bunch, but my wedding was, there was never going to be an option that like Jack and I wouldn't have a big wedding, like a big party. So I knew I wanted to like wait, you know, there were so many reasons. Like I didn't want to get engaged while we were in Detroit, and I also just didn't really feel ready. And like my job, I was really focused on my job, and then we moved here. So I didn't want to, you know, get engaged like right when we moved here. And then once we were here for a year, like I was ready. So before we even got engaged, like when the plan was happening, my mom had set up 5 venue tours for us in Atlanta. So in May, when we told our families that we were going to look at rings, we decided on getting married in Atlanta. That was something that we'd even talked about like a year, 2 years before, because my whole family's from Atlanta, really big family. Jack's family split. So Jack grew up in Michigan. His parents and brother are there, but the rest of their family is in New Jersey and upstate New York. So like his aunts, uncles, cousins, like his parents were the ones that moved away. So with that spread, we decided like the majority of people would be, I mean, it's so hard these days because I feel like everyone lives all over, and especially with like our generation, people just move a lot. Like obviously so do we, but a good chunk of our wedding guest list would be from Atlanta. So that would make sense. And Atlanta's awesome. And it's really easy to get to. Biggest airport in the world. Like everyone can get there easily. There's 12 million flights to Atlanta every day. It's a good city. It's easy to get around relatively. And it's not in the middle. It's just an easy like city. And also because my family is event planning royalty. Okay. So this is when I realized that I am a Nepo baby. Okay. So taking you back in time. Okay. So my grandfather, my mom's dad, John Hallway, he moved to Atlanta when my mom was in high school or middle school, and he had been working in events and catering. So event planning, catering, all that stuff. Subsequently, my mom and her sisters all moved to Atlanta at different points in their lives and also all worked in catering. My mom, for like the shortest stint, she actually met my dad because she was working my dad's sister's wedding. And she was like one of the caterers or event planners when she was in high school, and pinned my dad's boutonniere on him at his sister's wedding. So that was like how they met. And my grandfather worked a lot of events for my dad's family because my dad's dad, Victor, he was a very prominent figure in Atlanta politics and the Jewish scene in Atlanta. So like there was a lot of overlap. I don't remember the exact, I think it was a company called Affairs to Remember that my grandfather worked at. So my mom worked for him, and then my mom's sisters too, my aunts. So Anne, Kate, and Molly also were working in events in Atlanta. My Aunt Molly was definitely like, she was like, her heart was in it the most. So she worked for a company called Legendary Events in Atlanta for like, I don't even know how long, maybe like 15 years, 20, I don't know. So she worked for Legendary Events, which is owned by a man named Tony Conway. Tony Conway is like Atlanta famous. And when I was really little, I mean, my Aunt Molly and I were always really close. She never had any kids, and she would always call me Pepper. So I would go to some of her events sometimes. And this man, Tony Conway, I was like, he was just always like talked about. He was one of those just like enigmatic figures that like, he just always came up in conversation. He was very like this grandiose guy. Like when the company was smaller, when Legendary Events was smaller, Molly was one of the OG employees. Every year he would gift his employees an all expenses trip paid to anywhere in the world with one other guest. Like he would do that. And like Molly took my mom to Cabo, and she went on all these trips and like would take my mom with her. So since then, Molly, Ann, and Kate started their own catering company called Three Sisters Catering. Over time, Kate and Ann did their own thing. Molly still owns it. So she's been operating her own catering company in Atlanta for like maybe 15 years. I'm not totally sure. So she's still doing that. And so that has been really cool. So basically, this kind of just goes back to like how the wedding was never not going to be in Atlanta. Like I wanted Jack to kind of come up with the idea on his own, or I wanted it to like give him the option. We did kick around New York for a second, but my family like very quickly shut that down. They were like, I don't think so. So just with all the connections that we have, like all the people that we know, like my family is just like really, really good at this whole world of event planning and catering. So my mom had scheduled 5 venue tours for us before we even got engaged. And then we get engaged, and like the next night or the next morning, we're starting to like look at what she scheduled. So I look at the places that she scheduled, and I nixed 2 of them because I didn't like them. And then we had 5 days because we were staying in Atlanta for the next week. We ended up touring 10 venues in 5 days. And it was so much fun. It was so busy and so chaotic. But the last day we toured one of the legendary events places. And Tony Conway came on the tour himself. He even gave the tour himself. My Aunt Molly was there, and it was just so nice. Like it was like a little homecoming. And the sales manager, she was incredible. She was like, oh my God, your grandfather hired me when I was 23. I loved your grandfather so much. So that was so nice. And then like 3 of the other tours also knew my grandfather. The sales managers were like, oh my God, like your grandfather trained me. It was so much fun because I was never really that close with my grandfather. My mom was the youngest of 5. So he was like always like old to me. Like I don't remember him ever working. So it was cool to meet all of these women that were like, I fucking love your grandfather. He trained me. And then even on one of the tours, we ran into my mom's wedding planner from the 90s, this woman named Barbara. And it was so crazy. This woman, she's like 80 years old. And we saw her on one of the tours. And my mom was like, oh my God, Barbara, you planned my wedding. And so that was really, really fun too. So it was so fun to like go around town and meet all of these people that like we had family connections. One of the sales lady, she was like giving us her little spiel, and she knows Molly. She knew my mom's sisters and everyone, and she knows Molly. And she was talking, and then halfway through a sentence, she goes, wait, I'm sorry, are you Pepper? So like she knew me only by what my aunt calls me. So then she called me Pepper for the rest of the tour. And it was so much fun. So we did end up choosing one of the legendary events places. Like we had no other choice. And we were kind of between that and a hotel. We knew we were pretty certain we wanted to get married in Buckhead. The venues that we toured were like downtown Atlanta, Midtown, and Buckhead. And I'm from Buckhead, and Buckhead, Atlanta, it's like a different little subsect of Atlanta. So you've got downtown, which sucks, honestly. I'm sorry. There's like, it's kind of cool. Like there's some cool museums, not the World of Coke. Aquarium is cool. There's some really interesting civil rights stuff, the cyclorama, Civil War, that stuff. And the history, like Fox Theater, Varsity, Georgia Tech, it's pretty cool. And then, but Buckhead is north of downtown Atlanta, but it's still within the city of Atlanta. It's just like its own little city with like malls and skyscrapers and hotels and bars and restaurants. And it's just a little nicer, cleaner. It's a little like downtown Atlanta is just like the downtown of any city. Like it's not, there's not that much to do. So we were kind of interested in downtown Atlanta. We did look at a few venues there. And then we kind of like worked our way back up. So the first few days we were looking at downtown, and then we went to like West Midtown, which is another area of Atlanta, but it's like, it's a little weird. It's kind of run down. There's some cool places over there. And then the last day of the tours was when we looked at like Buckhead places, and we were just like, it's gotta be Buckhead. Cause it's like walkable. And it's just nice. There's so many good stores. And I just kept saying, I was like, if I was invited to a wedding and like this was the wedding campus, like I would be thrilled. There's so many hotel options. So we're going to do 2 hotels with room blocks at different price points for people. But like there's so many more options other than that. I mean, people can get Airbnbs, other hotels, and then the walkability and the bar scene and the restaurants. There's a whole ass mall, Lenox Mall, which would be so nice if you just like don't have a dress, or if you want another, like to buy something else, you could go into literally any store in the world. So we went with legendary events, of course, because of the family connection, and just it really just felt like a homecoming. And it was so nice to be with people that like really know my family and like loved my family. And I am just so fucking grateful. Like I feel so blessed. Like it's always been cool my whole life that my family was really into like events and catering, but this touring venues really like put into perspective like how many people's lives like my mom and my aunts and my grandfathers have touched, and just how many people were like, oh, I love your family, I love your grandfather. So that was really cool, and I am just so excited. So we've got our venue locked down, we've got our date, we're doing spring 2027. And it's been addicting. So Jack and I, we put together a little Canva presentation like of our vibes and what we like. So we picked out our colors and we picked out just like different pictures that we like. We're definitely doing like our key words are vibrant, maximalist, and sentimental. So we're doing bold colors, pinks, greens, oranges, yellows, pops of black and white checker. Lots of colors since it's in the spring. Atlanta's beautiful in the spring. So like lots of florals. I know florals for spring, groundbreaking. But we're just excited, and I'm really excited to work with the team. All of the salespeople were so happy with like our vibes and our vision and what we liked, because they were like, oh my God, nobody ever wants to do color. Everyone just wants to do like white and blue, white and green, or like, but we are like, absolutely not. Like design is huge for us. Florals are huge for us. Just, I want to like get weird. I want to get funky. Like I want to work. Like I have a vision. We have a vision. We have stuff that we like, but ultimately like I respect professional designers so much that like I want to defer to them. Like there's nothing that I'm like sticking my feet in the sand, like I have to do this. There's nothing like that. As long as it's fun, vibrant, bold, like lots of colors, we are totally down for whatever. But touring venues, it was really interesting. I think one of like the big things for us was bathrooms. Like you would be shocked at some of these venues that we went to, and I'm like, you call this a bathroom? Like 3 stalls per gender, which is just absolutely not enough. And then also Jack's brother being in a wheelchair puts ADA into everything. And every venue says they're ADA, but like they're not actually. And I'm like, okay, obviously this could be passable, but like one of the ADA bathrooms is like all the way around the back, and we're like, absolutely not. So we were ruling out anywhere that wasn't like totally 100% completely ADA accessible. Another thing is that we are not doing bridesmaids. We're not doing bridal party and groomsmen. And this is something I think we decided on like a year ago, like, or I decided on it because it's always something that's kind of like stressed me out a little bit. Like the idea of having to like rank your friends. And I just don't like that. And I think and I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone that has bridesmaids, but like, I think it's a little dated, and I think nobody wants this is like kind of what I keep going to. And I think, walking down the aisle, you're paired with some like drunk guy that like you don't even know. And it's like, none of the guests care. And then I've been a bridesmaid twice, and you walk down the aisle and it's uncomfortable kind of, because you're just kind of like, you feel all the eyes on you and you're like smiling, trying not to walk too fast. You're in a dress that you didn't pick out. And then I actually have never had to stand as a bridesmaid, so that's been good. But I always feel like I would feel really self-conscious having to like go and stand up at the altar, because you're standing there for like 30 minutes hoping that like you don't sneeze, or like are you allowed to itch your nose, or like I don't know, and you're just very like keenly aware. And obviously no one's looking at you, like everyone's looking at the bride and groom, but you're still standing up there and you're in all these pictures. I'm also like, why have I never really seen any picture from any wedding that I've been a bridesmaid of? Whatever. I think that matching dresses is tacky. And I've also, friendships come and friendships go. I wouldn't want to have someone in like all of my pictures and in the background of all my pictures just like there, and have some like nasty falling out, because I have heard stories. I've like been part of things where like there's no reason, and I just keep going back to like, nobody wants this. And another thing that I fucking hate is when there are more groomsmen than bridesmaids. I think that's so bizarre. And I think that women have way higher standards for their friendships than for men. Anytime I see a wedding when there's like 12 groomsmen and 6 bridesmaids, I'm like, okay, obviously these bridesmaids are this girl's like homies. Why does this guy have like 12 friends? Like, you couldn't have narrowed that down at all. And also, why are you not agreeing to have the same number? If the bride only wants to have 6, he should only have 6. You're telling me he can't pick? You're telling me that like 6 guys would be so offended? Like, guys don't care about that stuff. Have the same number or don't have groomsmen and bridesmaids. I think it looks tacky. And I just think, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like the idea of it. I don't like the bridesmaid proposals. Like, I just keep going back to like, it's just uncomfortable. And then I feel like you also, as a bride, are just opening yourself up to like so much disappointment. I've heard from other women, like, in the bridesmaid text, like no one's responding, or people aren't excited about it, or like just being like constantly let down. and you are a bride and you feel all of these things about your wedding and like you're so excited, like it's your favorite thing, but then also you have to like understand that like these women, whatever they else have going on in their life, like your wedding is not like their number one thing, so you do have to be aware of that. And I could see a world in which like I have bridesmaids, and if I'm feeling a certain type of way about like why isn't anyone responding, or why don't people seem excited, or why haven't they bought their dress yet, or like what's going on, like the group chat's not active, I could see a world in which I would get disappointed, and I don't want that. Like there's so much that goes on with the wedding that I think that there's not really a positive to having bridesmaids. And what I'm doing instead is I'm just having like, you know, my like very unofficial best friends, like I'm just having my homies like come hang out in the bridal suite with me, but also like do their own thing, you know, like the day of the wedding, I don't need everyone to like lock down their whole entire weekend to be like right by my side for like my beck and call, but like I have a best friend, you know, and like I have a mom, and like I have these like key people in my life that I don't really need that from other people. So like I'm gonna do a bachelorette, probably New Orleans, and I have like a key group of like close homies that are gonna like be around me and whatever and come hang out in the bridal suite, and I'm gonna ask them to like sit at the front. Like I don't know, we're all, you know, 28, like we're all grown, like we have long-term partners, and it's, I think it just relieves a lot of anxiety. Before that I kind of came to this decision, I was thinking that, well, I definitely want them in different dresses. I do think that looks chic, and that is something that like I definitely would have done with like everyone in different shades of pink or like different shades of whatever. I think that's cool. Maybe I'll still like, I don't know, maybe I'll ask nicely like 4 or 5 of my friends, like, would you mind? But I also just don't really care. Like I, with the vibe that I want for my wedding, which is vibrant, maximalism, bold, like I want people in like funky attire. So I'm not going to like be overly prescriptive. I just want people to dress in something that they absolutely love, that they're obsessed with. The dress code is black tie optional, which I know people have feelings about because it's so vague. But okay, I'm going to give some descriptors. So like, you know, like black tie optional, at minimum formal, you know, don't show up in like jeans or whatever. But also like if someone was wearing like a really fabulous sequin mini dress, like I would love that. I'm totally down for a mini dress if it's like cool. So I don't know. I'm excited to see. I'm like more excited about what other people wear than what I'm wearing. So I have a general idea of my wedding dress that I think I saw this other woman wearing it and was like obsessed. And then, yeah, so I think I know what I'm wearing, but I am more invested in like what other people are wearing, like wanting to like help other people pick their outfits. So I don't know. But yes, since we've come back, it's been definitely like a whirlwind. So it's starting to calm down now, but we had engagement party in New York, which my best friend Zoe hosted at her place. That was so nice. And no one warns you about how many times you have to repeat the story. That's something I mean, obviously, I guess, but the number of times that I've like repeated the story has been a lot, and it is hard for me to summarize, but I've kind of come down to an abridged version. But that has been something that's been hard. And also because like the actual like proposal was not this like whimsical like tears because I was so fucking surprised. Be careful with like really surprising people because you might not get like the reaction that you want. Like I wasn't mad. As I said, I was obviously happy, but it took me like a minute to like, you know, what is going on? And then I was like working backwards in my head because then it made me, I don't know. So just be patient if you're trying to plan a proposal. And then with women who are getting proposed to, I don't know. I mean, I'm still figuring it out. But yeah, everyone is very like shocked about how much we've already planned for our wedding. But like, I knew this would happen. Like, I just knew there would never be a world in which we got engaged and like took our sweet time planning. Like, I knew the second we'd get engaged, like wedding would be planned. So we've got our 4 pillars of the house, which is venue, date, florals, photographer. I think those are the 4 pillars. I don't know. But Legendary Events, one of the main perks of them is that they own the venue, but they also are a catering company and a floral company and design and the bar. So we don't have to have a lot of vendors, which has been really nice. And that like cuts down on so much like vendor coordination. I mean, I see brides with these like ridiculous binders of like vendor contacts and arrival times, but like when it's all under one company, like they all talk within each other, they have their own like internal things. So that cuts down on a lot, which brings me to a planner. So before I got engaged, I was like so excited to have a wedding planner. I kind of like always used to want to be one until I realized you have to give up your weekends. And you also have to be like a super type A person. So I was very excited to have a planner because I love event planning. I plan events for my podcast and my comedy shows, and then also for work sometimes. So I was really excited to learn from a planner. And I really like romanticized like having a planner that you love and she becomes part of your family and like everyone's like obsessed and like you miss her so much. And I was really excited to talk to planners. But we still haven't found one. It's so crazy because it's like that was the one thing where I thought I was like, oh my God, that's going to be like the easiest thing to find. Like I know any planner will love us and I'm going to love them. And I'm also just like kind of cocky about my wedding because our family is so much fun. Like Jack and I are so much fun. Jack's parents are so much fun. My parents, and like with all of our experience in like event planning, I'm like, who wouldn't want to plan our wedding? And like, we're so easy to work with that like we want this planner to be part of our family. But we have had so many snags with finding a planner. So initially I wanted to use this one woman that someone that I know used, and she was awesome and her team was so awesome. So then I put out an inquiry and it was $20,000 for a planner. I was gobsmacked. Because and then I realized like half of it goes to PR, which was crazy. It's like we can get your wedding in bridal, whatever, maybe in Vogue. And I was like, okay, that's psychotic. And then I talked to this other woman who was recommended by a friend. And I was really excited to work with her because one of the venue people like knew who she was and said she was so great. And then, so this woman and I had a call scheduled for 11 a.m. the Tuesday after my wedding or after my engagement. And 11:05 rolls around, don't hear anything. And I'm patiently waiting by the phone. I don't hear anything, 11:05. So I text her. I'm like, hey, like, are you going to call? No response for 30 minutes. And she's like, oh, a venue tour went over. Can you talk at 4? And I was like, okay. I was like, okay, you know what? A little bit, I will let it slide. I personally have really high expectations for wedding planners because I think that's one of those jobs where you have to be the most type A, organized, communicative people on the planet. Because like, I know what it takes to plan events, and for someone to make a career out of event planning, that's why I couldn't be a wedding planner, besides the fact that I don't want to give up my weekends, because I'm not very organized. Like I'm pretty ADHD, a little like chaotic. I don't know. So I was a little like, okay, but you know what? I'm going to let it slide, like whatever. So let's see like if she talks on the phone, if she's like apologetic. So then she gets on the phone. She says, hey, sorry, we didn't get a chance to connect. And I said, we? What, do you got a mouse in your pocket? Like I was waiting by the phone. Like you didn't. That like, I don't know. Sorry if I sound crazy, but like that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because I would have been fine with it if she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had this tour and it went so long and da 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 da. Thank you so much for whatever. But we didn't get a chance to connect, whatever. We still went through with the phone call. She didn't really wow us necessarily, but her price is really good. And then the further we got into like venue touring and like kind of deciding on legendary events that does like everything for us pretty much, I was like, we don't really need like a full-on capital P planner, because legendary does design. Most of like all the vendors are pretty much included, and between like my aunts and my mom, like we're kind of good. Like my Aunt Molly, she has been reading every contract. Like my mom has been I've done so much less than I thought I would, which is so nice. Like my mom's been like doing a lot, emailing a bunch of people for me, just sends me updates. Molly like reads all the contracts and she's able to kind of read between the lines, like see what's normal, see what's not normal. So we've been able to get a lot of stuff done without a planner. So then that's when I was like, you know what, let me take a step back on planner. I was like, I'll look at a few more. So then I scheduled another planner call last week. This person sent me a Zoom link. The Zoom link is broken, like does not work. I can't get on. I try to dial the Zoom number, nothing happens. It was so weird. And then I email like, hello, whatever, their contact email, don't get a response. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on with these people? So then I was kind of like, you know what, I'm just going to chill for right now. Our wedding is still a year and a half away. We don't need like a full blown planner. So I think if we just have someone, I think I'm going to start looking again. I'm also just like, what the hell? I'm like, why is this the hard part? I was like, I thought this would be the easiest part. Also, like, this is a really fun wedding to plan. Okay. Like we are very fun people. Like, I feel like we would be a delight to, like, we're very easy to work with, whatever. So I think I'll start in the new year looking at new planners, because I realized we kind of just need like a 6-month out coordinator. And yeah, so that's where we're at right now. I'm so excited. I have a photographer, and yeah, it's just been so much fun. And I'm so excited for a wedding, and I love to talk about it. And yeah, I think that's all. Thanks for listening. Bye.